Hey everyone, and welcome to Holding the Line with Got Your Six Counseling. I'm Peggy, and this is Brittany. This is a space where we get real about the shit nobody wants to talk about: mental health, life, trauma, healing, and everything in between. Sometimes we get clinical, sometimes we get messy, but it's always honest. Quick reminder, this podcast isn't therapy, and it's not a substitute for professional care. We're not here to provide therapy, diagnose, or treat. If you're struggling with mental health, please reach out to a licensed provider. You don't have to go through it alone. We've got your six. We're just two trauma therapists showing up as humans first, ready to have real, unfiltered conversations about the stuff that matters. We're here to break the stigma, share what we've learned from both sides of the therapy room, and talk about the challenges people face every day, especially in the veteran and first responder communities. Whether it's trauma, burnout, relationships, identity, or just getting through the week, we believe that these conversations matter. They deserve space, and that's what we're holding the line for. So let's dive in.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Holding the Line with Got Your Six Counseling. This is episode 9, and today we're without Peggy tonight because we have our practice owner, Christina, and Sergeant Stephen Curtis from the Stafford County Sheriff's Department has agreed to join us to give us a little bit of background on his experience being a sheriff's deputy. Yes?
Something like that.
Probably going to say that wrong.
Cop dude, person, the guy with the badge, that thing,
We can't really call you like the boys in blue because it's like a tan color.
I have no blue. Literally,
the man in tan.
The only blue I have is like this part of the flag. That's it. Outside of that, it's just tan. But I like that. The man in tan.
Sheriff's departments always wear that ugly tan color.
I know. Can't do anything with it. It doesn't bring out the color of my eyes at all.
It doesn't.
Sorry about that.
Lodge a complaint. I'll be writing Sheriff Decatur a sternly worded email.
Please do. Say that like Sergeant Curtis needs his eyes to shine. We need more blue in the uniform to bring the colors out.
Get right on that.
I was asking Christina before we started because I remembered when the peer support team came when I was a student to the Dumfries office, and I was like, "Was he one of the ones that came?" And she was like, "Yes."
That was me. Yeah.
There was like 7 or 8 of you guys.
4 years ago.
No, do not tell me about the passage of time. I'm not ready for it ever. Was it really 4 years ago?
4 years.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. I can't believe it's been a year since I last didn't bring you chicken nuggets. So it's been, time just has no meaning.
Speaking of chicken nuggets, Brittany and I have brought our own.
No.
Uh-huh.
You didn't?
Yep.
All right, we're going to have an offline conversation about this. I will be getting warrants. We'll be showing up at your door.
Look, you can show up at my door. I'm not there yet.
Was that planned? Was this planned just to...
Yes, it was.
Okay, that's fair.
Uh-huh.
That's fair. All right.
I told her, I was like, look, I'm going to need you to show up with some Chick-fil-A, preferably nuggies. And I was like, and I will tell the story during the podcast. So
find the offline button. There we go. Leave room.
Yep. Bye.
That's fine. I knew the story was gonna come out at some point. It's a very near and dear story to CISM, it is. We'll get there.
Yep, that'll be an end of the podcast thing. So if you're listening now, you got to keep listening.
Yep, you got to stay to the end for the inside story. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became a sheriff's deputy? I also just found out you were a chaplain, so you can get into that too towards the end. So just give us a little background about you. Yeah, surprise.
Man, how I ended up being a sheriff's deputy. I still have no idea, really. I'm still trying to piece that together and figure it out. All right, so I guess a little about me is, I'm 12 years with law enforcement. I started out as a MP in the Air Force because being an art teacher didn't pan out for me. I did substitute teaching for 3 years and was like, I cannot deal with middle school kids. I bet I can go deal with like drug addicts and meth heads and things like that. And I realized it's a 1-for-1 skill. It's like, if anyone listening is a teacher and you're like, I'm kind of tired of teaching, please send me a job application. It's a 1-for-1 trade. It works out great. But yeah, I joined the Air Force and they were like, hey, you're smart enough to be in the Air Force, but you're not quite smart enough to do cool pilot things. But you can either hold a wrench or hold a gun. And I was more inclined or less inclined for mechanic and cars. I wasn't a car guy. So I was like, oh, I'll take the gun option. Those seem kind of fun. Had never fired a gun in my entire life, like not even like a BB gun, anything. So that was fun on the fire range for the first time. And they were like, okay, so you're a cop now. And I was like, what does that mean? They're like, oh, you pull over officers, husbands and wives, and they tell you that, do you know who my husband or wife is? And then they outrank you. And I was like, okay, this is fun. This is a great time. Did 4 years in the Air Force, got out, said I'm never doing that again, never doing law enforcement again, went back to teaching, and then started doing some like private security things and things like that. Worked in security at Mary Washington Hospital, had the time of my life, the most fun times trying to, have a PCP patient lift me off the floor with just 1 foot, even though I'm like 6'4" and 230 pounds. And he was like, nope, you're just going straight up like a rag doll. I was like, ooh, okay, fun. Met this woman, a really great nurse, and then I blinked, and now I'm a father of 3, and I married her, and I'm now
And
a
bless
Stafford County
her.
deputy.
Holy shit, bless
Basically
her.
just, I know, right? Oh yeah. If you hear any
It
stomping,
happens so
if you
fast.
hear any stomping from above me, that's my heathen children running around,
Your
who
brood.
are
Same.
desperately trying to break the door down. Yeah. So basically, when I met her, I realized I should probably do something more than Paul Blart Mall Cop and make a little more, kind of income to raise a family potentially. So I was like, you know what? My whole background is law enforcement. I need to do that. So I put in applications, and Stafford County Sheriff's Office picked me up. And I've done a little bit of everything. I've done patrol work. I've done school resource officer in the schools because I can never get away from teaching, apparently. And now I do basically community service or community liaison work. So if anyone's ever heard of like Neighborhood Watch, I run our Neighborhood Watch program, and I specifically took over something called Worship Watch, which is basically Neighborhood Watch, but for houses of worship. Started meeting nonprofits and just everyone that does community service work in Stafford and Fredericksburg area. I absolutely fell in love with it. I enjoyed law enforcement. Trust me, nothing gets me more excited than a foot pursuit or a vehicle pursuit. I don't do much of that anymore, to my wife's infinite happiness. But I love doing the community side of things because ultimately the real reason why I like doing law enforcement is helping people. There's no really other aspect to it. I didn't dream of being law enforcement. In fact, when I grew up playing cops and robbers, I was usually the robber. So I don't know how that exactly panned out with this, but if you ask my mom, she was more likely for me to be in jail than the one arresting people. So I kind of just threw a Uno reverse card on everything. I'm the only
Love
law
that.
enforcement in my family. I don't come from a lineage of law enforcement, but law enforcement is supposed to be very, unbiased. You don't give your political, religious opinion, any kind of like, you're just by the books, whatever the facts are is how it is. So I had the fortune of, when I took over Worship Watch, the chaplain at the time for the sheriff's office was going into politics, so he couldn't be a chaplain anymore. And the sheriff said, well, basically either we nix the program, or, you go out here and get a degree in theology and become our chaplain. And I said, absolutely not, no way, not going to do it. And a lot of things I won't bore everyone with happened where I couldn't just say no, and I did that. So I got my associates in biblical studies, and I became the chaplain. And I said, I can't do this myself. So I went over to fire rescue because I don't believe in the whole segregation of, fire rescue, sheriff's office, Dalmatians versus German Shepherds. I mean, German Shepherds are better, but still, I do love Dalmatians too. And I said, hey, you have a chaplain's program. I love what you're doing. Can I copy and paste your entire idea and concept for your chaplain's program? And they said, well, how about we just merge together? And so now I am one of 10 chaplains. And before, where we just focused on internal helping our deputies and firefighters, we now actually go out in the community for fatal car accidents, DOAs, any situation where there's like a loss of life. Our chaplains actually get paged out for at 2 a.m. to go out to. And then on the same lines of wanting to help people, I immediately joined up with our peer support team. I learned about CISM and critical incident stress management. I met this wonderful woman at my CISM training who swore like a sailor, and I was like, oh, okay, we can be friends. I had a lot of tattoos, even though I had none, and bossed me around and picked on me. And I was like, yeah, okay, this fits. This is how I met my wife. She bossed around me. My mom picks on me. Pretty much everyone in my life picks on me. So it just was a natural, cohesive thing. And now she's in the room with us and said, hey, you're going to come on a podcast. I don't know if you asked it in the form of a question or more of a statement.
I did. No, I did. I said, hey,
Yeah,
would you
I
like
think
to?
you did. I think you did. You did.
Yeah,
That's just, I wasn't used to that. I thought you were under
I
duress.
know.
I thought someone had captured you in an ice igloo and wasn't letting you out. And this was like your way of getting a message to me. So when I came on here to realize this is actually a podcast 5 minutes
It
ago, I
really
was actually
is.
shocked. Yeah.
Uh,
So that is the long winded version of my history and how I ended up being a chaplain at the sheriff's office in Stafford County, in Virginia, in these United States of America, in this wonderful world we live in.
I can't get
you're
past the irony of you being in the Air Force and then becoming an art teacher. That's all I can think about after you said that.
Yeah, no, I trust me, my heart and passion is art and anything artistic, sketching, drawing. That's like what I love to do. And before the military, I was very unmotivated. So I was like, what is the easiest job that I could possibly do? And I was like, all right, teaching, but I'm bad at math and science and everything else, but I can really paint pretty pictures. I was like, oh, well, art teacher, you just grade, oh, you drew a cat. A plus. I get summers off. I was like, this is the job. Summers off. I don't have to worry about anything. It's super easy. And then I went in the military and they were like, hey, get your head out of your proverbial other place, and got me on right and actually taught me that being selfish and just thinking about me wasn't the best way to be. And that's what flipped me around. So then I got out, still trying to be an art teacher, but for different reasons.
Middle schoolers are savage. You went from savage
yeah.
middle schoolers to drug
I'm
addicts
telling
and criminals, and
it's
that feels better for some reason.
I had the easiest time talking and just like sympathizing and commiserating with people who are, on substance abuse issues because of issues in their life than talking to a middle schooler who just thinks they know about life and they just don't like that their chicken nuggie time in lunch classroom had to get cut by 5 minutes early. I can't really empathize with them. I can't really connect on their level. But yeah, someone on the street who's just like, my life's is bad and this is why I do drugs. It's like, I get that. Life is a rough one. So let's get you some help and go from there. I can't help the middle schoolers. I'm sorry. All the parents
Yeah.
listening, my children are 6 years old, 4 year old, and 3 year old. Can't help them. I can't. I'm like, I'm sorry, your chicken nuggies are my chicken nuggies now, and you just have to cry about that. I did steal
You're
chicken.
still on this chicken nug thing.
You
I
brought it
mean,
in front of me, and it's
I did.
it's a core trauma that I've dealt with for the last year when I didn't give them to you.
You traumatized me with
I know,
it.
but now we're trauma bonding, and I never got the resolution of that trauma bond, and I never got to a place of dealing with it
Look at him
because
using therapy
you
terms.
left. I know,
I
right?
know.
I did a Wikipedia on therapy terms, and it's in the other tab of my window, and I'm just going down the list. So
Love
yeah, there you
that.
go.
Did you obviously haven't heard our previous episode where we talked about buzzwords, but I would suggest you go back and listen to that.
I absolutely will.
Also, Brittany, side note, there is a post in one of the Facebook groups that I'm on, and it was like, what is the phrase or buzzword that drives you the craziest as a therapist? And do you know how many people put holding space and triggered and like all the words that we talked about? And then of course I chimed in and was like life coach, and everybody's liking and thinking the comments hilarious. And I was like, it's like all the words that we talked about. So it's not just us they annoy,
So
it's
many.
the collective population. Yeah.
Is WebMD
Yeah.
a buzzword? Because I've diagnosed my own psychosis issues off of
Dr.
WebMD, and I feel
Dr.
pretty good about it.
Google. Yeah, no, Dr.
Yeah.
Google.
Oh,
Please
yeah.
don't.
AI has
Please,
told me
please
everything
don't.
wrong with me. I don't need any professional help. I'm good.
Yeah.
Chat
WebMD is
GPT.
like you died yesterday.
So
Yeah, WebMD will tell you that.
it did tell me I died, but before it told me I was dead, it did tell me about probably 5 other things that could be my issue relating to my mother. And before my untimely demise, I did latch onto those and I found some solace there.
Excellent. We love that for you.
How did you wind up doing CISM work? Was
So
that in line with the chaplain stuff, or did you fall into that as well?
I wanted to do peer support. There was an opening on our peer support team at the sheriff's office, and I'm a very big and very vocal person about law enforcement who gets jaded and just sees the worst in everyone, sees the worst in everything, and they consume all this negativity and they start to get cynical and jaded. And I literally, I rail against that. It's like nails on chalkboard. Same thing with law enforcement that makes being a cop their whole identity. That's like, just like, oh, the uniform might come off, but my identity as a cop doesn't. That's with me 24/7. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but don't, there's more to you than your career. There's more to you than your job. And so when a peer support opening came in, my captain, Michelle Gibbons of our peer support team, I basically came to her office. I was like, I want to join the team. She's like, you have to put a memo in and you have to get interviewed. I was like, no, but I really want it. Let me do it, please. And I started crying profusely and begging. And then I submitted a memo and I went through the interview process, but I got accepted on the team and I've been full swing into it. I just, again, it's very a passion of mine. I'm trying to reach out to deputies and law enforcement and whoever just that's struggling with those issues, trying to come alongside as a peer and be like, hey, I know what you're going through, but the way you're going at it, there are better alternatives. But part of the peer support team was you had to do a required class with critical incident stress management. So me, Sergeant Ben Woodson of the Sheriff's Office, and our lovely friend here got to go down.
And dispatcher Amanda Tate.
And dispatcher Amanda Tate, you're right, she was. We all went down to Richmond and we did the CISM class. And if you can't tell, for those viewing that see all the nerdy stuff around my background that I was trying to hide earlier and I couldn't, I play Dungeons and Dragons a lot, so I love role playing. And CISM was like 3 days of role playing where you could just be like this person, this law enforcement officer or a victim or a driver, and you got to role play, and I like fell in love with that. So I love the CISM model and like how it's structured and how it invites very stern, kind of walled off law enforcement a lot of times to have a place and a way of opening up. And again, it just added on to peer support, and then the chaplaincy came on, which just added on to it. And yeah, I just fell in love with the whole. I loved helping people and helping them work through their issues, which also helped me work through my issues. But I didn't have a lot of structure to it. I didn't have again, art teaching, aspirating, biblical studies major here. I don't know anything about buzzwords or psychology or anything like that. So I don't have that repertoire to go off of. In fact, usually it's me just crying to Christina, just being like, what do I say in this? But it gave me a lot of skills to at least be able to, general layperson, idiot to idiot level psychopathy. I just made that word up.
Psychopathy is like an actual word, but that's not relevant
psychopath
here. Yeah, that's not like an actual word. So for those who don't know what peer support is, I'm going to kind of give the Reader's Digest condensed version, and then obviously Curtis, jump in if I go astray or if I forget anything. So for those who don't know, peer support is a group of volunteers, right? Because you guys don't get paid extra for it, right?
Yeah,
it's like a volunteer, like side duty. Yeah.
You can't
just the
voluntold to do it. Yeah, it's purely volunteer.
Yeah, you have to like ask to do it.
Yeah.
And then you submit an application in. And so our program at Stafford County Sheriff is credentialed by the state, which is really cool. Or credentialed by the state.
Yeah.
And so it is essentially cops helping cops, but it's not just law enforcement, the sworn staff. It's also like dispatchers and the admin staff. It's everybody who wants to be a part of it joins the team. They go through training, and then it's an opportunity for those who are part of the sheriff's office to go to a peer who lives the life and understands what they're going through and have that safe space to kind of unpack some stuff without needing therapeutic intervention. My role as a part of that is that I provide the confidentiality piece to it. So if, you brought up Sergeant Woodson, so let's talk about him. So if Woodson came to you, even though he's on the peer support team, if Woodson came to you and was like, hey man, I'm having a real hard time, and man, I really want to punch my coworker in the face, that's confidential.
Yeah.
So even on the stand, Sergeant Curtis can't say, because he's protected by the confidentiality that like me being an LPC provides, that he can't be compelled to testify because it's under the umbrella of like a therapeutic umbrella. So it's a safe space for a confidential space for sworn and non-sworn members to like reach out to peers for support, which I think is phenomenal. And then ultimately, if further support is needed, referrals can be made to therapists within the community that, you guys vet and trust. And I know Got Your Six is one of those, and we are eternally thankful for that. We love our work with your guys. So I wish I could do some of that work, but I can't because I'm part of CISM and PST. And so like, that's like a conflict of interest. But every time I see somebody come in, I'm like, I know them. But yeah, so I think it's a really great opportunity to get, because I think sometimes when you're out looking for therapeutic support, right, you realize that like you can't do this on your own, and there's no shame in that. It's just like, you're not going to do heart surgery on yourself. You're going to go to a cardiologist. And so, you're dealing with some issues that you're struggling with, and the job is hard and the lifestyle is difficult. It's hard on your family. It's hard on you. And so, you have this opportunity through like insurance and whatever to go out and get, help. But it's like going through the phone book and going, I don't know, she doesn't look like a fucking moron. I think I'll call her. And then she has no idea what it's like to be a cop, or he has no idea what it's like, And so to be able to go to somebody on the peer support team and have them be like, oh, well, she might be a fucking moron, but she gets what you guys are going through here, I think is a huge resource. And then further, CISM, Critical Incident Stress Management. That is the team of people that are called in to debrief when shit goes sideways, is kind of the best way to describe that. My favorite part of that, and it's also confidential, but my favorite part of that is when I show up and I am like covered, right? So you can't see my tattoos. And I just kind of show up and walk in and I'm quiet, or like you and I are talking shit back and forth or, whatever. And then somebody inevitably, and there was one time where it was like the same guy was involved in like several instances. And he's like, I was like, why are you keep showing up? But anyways, I remember the first SISM that we were at, and he's like, isn't some fucking therapist supposed to come in here and tell us we're all nuts? Like, when the fuck are they going to get here? And I was like, hi.
That's me.
Hi, I'm the fucking therapist. And like the look on his face was amazing.
Good.
Yeah. And so, it's always nice for me to be able to be there and provide support. And I don't provide therapy. I'm really just there to kind of, provide psychoed and feedback and normalize the experience of whatever they're going through, which I really appreciate, because again, it's that safe space where the team of people who are involved can come and like unpack the shit that went down, and you hear from everybody. Like when we had that one instance where somebody from CID came in, I thought that was really important for her to be there, to be able to be like, no, this does have a resolution. This is what it was, because that one was tough.
A great.
And then we were in the place where there was like hooks hanging from the
Yeah.
ceiling.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was like a weird. We thought it might have been like a former BDSM kind of level.
BDSM club.
Yeah, club or something like that. It was actually like a special needs school that just has these things from the top that they could hang like swings and stuff. Different things. But that's not what we saw when we walked in there.
Well, we were thinking swings.
We were, true. Just different kinds.
Wrong swings.
There we go.
Wrong swings.
But yeah, I mean, law enforcement is just difficult. First responders in general. Most of our deputies, out of like 200 plus sworn deputies, a huge majority of them are veterans, military. An overwhelming majority is Army and Marines. So I get picked on pretty much daily. There's only one Coast Guard I can punch down to, so that's it. So I go to his office.
I bet he gets picked on mercilessly.
He doesn't. He really doesn't. Because there's only one of him, and there's at least 4 of us Air Force. So I think when they see us herd and like circle the wagons, it's like more of an attack
for protection.
Thing. Yeah, but Marines just attack whatever moves. So the fact that it's like That's a T-Rex, like the Coast Guard just stands still in the corner, and like the Marines are like T-Rexes. They just, if he doesn't move, they don't see him. They can't track it. So the rah, kill, and then I keep crayons on me. It's fine.
I was just going to say, you should keep crayons on you and just throw them down the hallway.
Oh, yeah. No, I actually literally did. Someone who works under me is a Marine, and I have left a trail of crayons to his like personnel folder when we had to talk about something. So I was like, there's your sign. He didn't think that was as funny as I did, but I thought it was a good icebreaker. But because of that, not to mention just the nature of most of us being very military, Stafford is a very veteran military area because we're right next to Quantico. So we get a lot of military members. So you have that, and then just law enforcement in itself. We have very, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know. Special, abrasive, unique. That's a nice one. So
thank you.
There's very colorful characters in our career field. But to be able to actually have a heart-to-heart conversation or actually dive into real issues, it's not as simple as going, okay, let's talk about this. Most people will just wall off, or they just make jokes, which happens a lot during our CISMs. Having, Got Your Six Counseling and Christina and all her amazing team, who we've been able to come out and actually meet you all and sit down and have a nice lunch that didn't have chicken nuggies. We will be bringing that up multiple times until it gets explained. There we go. Yep. Next time on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. But I can't be an effective peer support or CSM and just bring in any mental health professional. Like, it can't just be Dr. Joan Jonna Jamieson III or Reginald Cornwallis V with his book smarts and British accent. I don't know. That's just where I picture therapists in my head.
I feel like a guy named Reginald Cornwallis would be British. Yeah. We're like a sweater
I think I'm pretty spot on with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need someone who is going to look these deputy in the eyes when they're like, "Where's the therapist at?" and just be like, "What up? I'm here. You want to throw down?" and literally just like get it right back to him
Hi.
because, and yeah, that
Hi.
Christina is literally perfect for that. But it is. It's generally just that when you it's like when someone's like throwing shade at you and you give it right back, there's a level of respect with it. And if I just bring a kind of bookwormy, which I am a bookwormy person, and they just sit there and take notes, it's not as effective as your team and your people saying like, hey, we can talk at this level. People are like, "Oh, you're a chaplain, like you don't swear." And like, yeah, I try my very best not to, but I will not lie that when it's come to like, Debbie's law enforcement, like military, having a more abrasive kind of personage about your personality about you leads to a lot more openness with our deputies. I've had more people open up because Christine was there when she started dropping F bombs towards me or started actually throwing shade at me and just like started making jokes at my expense. And everyone just resonated with it. They're like, okay, yeah, no, we're good with her. She's good. She's kicking Curtis left and right. And I will always be a voluntary punching bag if it opens people up to having this conversation because otherwise they won't share. That's what CISM is. CISM is supposed to be a safe environment where amongst peers where you can actually talk about these very serious, very traumatizing incidents or the build up of incidents over time. But
Mm-hmm.
I find it so often that we won't we'll wall off. We'll just nod and say, okay, I feel like I'm supposed to be here. I'm just doing this because my sergeant said I should go. My first sergeant said I should go. And you've seen it. You've seen it in a few where we've had some that just there two or three of them will just joke around. But then once other people start opening up and realize that, oh, just because there's a therapist here, but she's a real one. She is an OG. She good like that. They'll actually open up, and then next thing you know, the quiet ones that don't want to share start sharing, and then from that point, it's a floodgate. And Christina is the best
Mm-hmm.
chaser in the sense that when we express that vulnerability and we start talking about these emotions and things like that, we kind of are left at the end of it just like, oh, this is yucky. We talked about emotions and how to like express ourselves, but we don't know how to resolve this at the end. And Christina just swoops in and goes, okay, hey guys, here's some literature. I want you to read it. Everything you're feeling is normal. And she has this whole way of just explaining it that if it was in my hands at the end of it to be like, all right, close us out, Curtis, I'd be like, hug yourself, pat on the back. I don't know,
Bring
just
some tea,
we
maybe. I
good
don't
job.
fucking know.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
herbal supplements. I don't know. Eat your protein powder just straight from the cup. Don't mix. I wouldn't have anything. Literally seeing Christina come in at the end, and you don't have to tell her. I don't have to look at you. You just like when there's a certain moment that you're like, now it's my turn to give everyone a resolution to this and actually give them good information to take back that isn't going to make people feel like you just got pitied or sympathy or like just like it. You make it so natural because you understand the resilient or not the resistance that they have both to just being vulnerable in itself and the resistance they have to
Yeah.
actually seeking the help.
So I think a big Winky is like trying
I
to be part
miss
of the conversation
Winky.
right
I
now.
miss
I
Winky.
know he'll be back, maybe if I don't kill him before then. So I think to speak on that, I think that there is as as a community, right? Veterans, law enforcement, and this isn't just cops, right? This is anybody who's in dispatch, who works for the fire
Yeah,
department,
yeah.
EMTs, like first responders as a whole. And I think nurses, I love nurses. They eat their young. They
Hmm.
are amazing. Like they are kind of part of this kind of mentality of, we don't have the luxury when the shit's hitting the fan to feel any emotions. And so it just kind of goes in this box. And the culture is such that you have to suck it up. And I think law enforcement, the military, it's changing a little bit, right? I think that
Slowly,
there's
yeah.
more of like that awareness and understanding that shoving it in a box and keeping it there forever and ever is not going to work out. But unfortunately, that's still not the case. And I'm thankful that Sheriff Decatur has put so much faith and emphasis into SISM and PST. Excuse me, too much special adult water.
And
Sorry,
the
guys.
best part is with peer support CSM talking about the confidentiality. It's the one
Mm-hmm.
time they get to tell Sheriff Decatur, my boss, to kick rocks if he ever asks me anything about because of the
Yeah.
confidentiality. It's the first time I get to tell the sheriff himself, hey, go kick rocks. But like you
Yep.
said, the confidentiality is a big piece of that because the
Yeah.
stigma, that's what we fight. And it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
our dispatch, it's even our civilian staff. When they hear the
Yep.
tones drop through the building and they don't know really what's going on, but they know it's serious and they might hear rumors. But it's the stigma that you're going to lose your job if you ask for help. You're going to
Yep.
lose everything if you ask for help and reach out. So the confidentiality
Mm-hmm.
piece and having the sheriff actually prioritize it. And this is not just for law
Yeah.
enforcement, it's for it having, commanding officers in the military, having even just like day-to-day, office jobs, like having a boss that prioritizes literally just the mental well-being of their people is is so just relaxing to work for someone in that environment. Our peer support team, some people don't want to use us at all, but the ones that do and start using us and realize, oh, there's no repercussions, there's no other boot that's about to
Mm-hmm.
drop from me sharing this with
Yep.
you. It's so huge. So yeah, I
Yeah.
applaud any law enforcement agency that listens to this. If you do not have a developed peer support CISM team or your command staff is not like prioritizing that, that's a change that needs to be made nationwide.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And we get a lot of cops that call and we've had a few firefighters who have reached out too. And their first question is, well, what happens if my sheriff calls, or what happens if my sergeant calls, or my lieutenant, then what? And my favorite response is we tell them to have a nice day.
Yeah.
Like thanks for fucking calling. Like, and and I think especially because there's so many veterans. So for those who don't know, if you are on active duty and you access mental health care on active duty by somebody who is employed by that duty station, you do not have an expectation of confidentiality.
Nope.
And I think that's part of the stigma that goes into it. Like, I remember I had a moment and found myself on the fifth floor of Madigan Army Medical Center in Fort Lewis, Washington, and was like, I probably need to be here because I was not well. And I remember just being petrified of like what was I going to say that my unit was going to hear about, because there is no confidentiality. And if I am unfit to do my job, my commanding officer can call and ask for my records, and they'll tell them everything. I could be talking shit about him or her and they will know. And so like I think leaving the military and then coming out into the civilian sector, even working for the sheriff's department, working for other law enforcement agencies, and then, having that umbrella of confidentiality is a new concept. And so it's always my favorite when I get to say, we're not like that. Like,
Yeah.
Sheriff Decatur himself could walk into the office and be like, hello, Christina, I'd like to see so-and-so's medical records. And I'd be like, I don't know who that is. Bye. Would you like some tea? It's free. Coffee. We have a Keurig in our waiting room.
Get out of my
But
call the
like,
sheriff's office on you.
well, technically, it would be Dumfries Police Department.
It would. So you could absolutely
I
do
would
that,
call.
yeah.
I'm gonna call your buddy over at the Dumfries Police Department, sir. But no, he's a really good dude. I like him a lot, and I know that he would never do that. And I know that he is hugely supportive of all of his staff, not just the deputies, but all of the staff. Reaching out for support if they need it, and that means a lot to us because now I get to say, my staff gets to say, we know that this is something that your sheriff thinks is incredibly important.
Yeah.
And I would love for more individuals in leadership roles within law enforcement to be more vocal about that, right? And I think sometimes when they know it, it's not really published. It's like, yeah, go get mental health and do your thing.
Yeah.
But they don't stand on it and say, we want you to be well, please go get help. And even if, like I said, even if they did reach out to us because they're not supportive, because they're, I don't know, dumb and they live in the fucking Stone Age, then we still are prevented by like many state and federal laws from even disclosing that that person attends services with us. Like, we can't even acknowledge that we know who they are. So it's been great to have a sheriff who's that supportive, but also, to know that we can protect the individuals that we work with in that manner.
Yeah, the strongest thing that I'm equipped with when I do roll calls with my, either my dispatchers or my deputies themselves is saying that in my about 3 years of doing chaplaincy, peer support, CSM, not a single one of my command staff have ever come to me to ask a single question about anything about their people. Not a single one. Because if that ever happens, someone ever did walk in, knock on my door and say that, I couldn't say that anymore because I'd basically be lying, but I could literally go to roll calls and say, yeah, in like about 3 years, I have not had one command staff member ever ask me a question about, hey, how's so-and-so? Even just like check up on them, even just be like, hey, anything I can do to help out, something like that. Like, they stay far away from it. And I think that's because, like you said, the sheriff is very verbal about If I find out
Mm-hmm.
someone is asking inappropriate questions that we're not supposed to because confidentiality, I will come down
Yep.
on you hard. And yeah, I think that setting that tone, like you said, is it's what's allowed me to be able to, at the ground level at my rank, talk to others. I mean, in my military experience, coincidentally, a chaplain was what saved me. I had a mental health episode that spiraled out of control. I ended up too on mine was outpatient, but at a facility. And the only reason
I
it
wasn't
ended up
inpatient, for
being,
the record. The fifth floor was the inpatient ward, but they kept
yeah.
me outpatient, just so that we're all clear. Okay.
Okay,
Not that
gotcha,
there's any
gotcha.
shame
Okay,
in that,
so
but like,
okay, cool.
I've
Mine
worked in
was
inpatient.
inpatient,
I have
so
not been in
I said mine
inpatient.
was inpatient. But that fear, that because I literally thought I was gonna get, Article 15, I was gonna get
Mm-hmm.
discharged, dishonorably discharged. I'm an MP, like I'm in charge of having, arrest authority and a firearm, like in
And
a
you have a gun.
branch. Yeah, in a branch that's not very much people are armed with guns, coincidentally, even though it's military. So it was kind of a big
Go
deal.
Air
And,
Force.
I was, yeah, and I was tied to very sensitive things too that I was in charge of. So I was like, I'm done. I'm cooked my whole life. I'm gonna have dishonorable discharge. It was actually a chaplain that actually volunteered and reached out that worked with a way to get me the mental health services that I needed inpatient, but didn't end up being like highly broadcast across like I had people that were asking questions on my wing level of like, hey, Curtis, we haven't seen him in like 2 weeks. What's happening? Did he get hurt? And a lot of my higher enlisted were basically just like, yeah, mind yourself. Don't worry about it. And, some people knew, some people didn't. But to have that chaplain in my first shirt, my master sergeant come and actually tell me, hey, we're going to keep this kind of just in house with what's going on until you get the help you need. That definitely laid a foundation of why I was so strong about wanting to get into peer support and CISM because I was one that needed it and got it in a way that was not going to put my career at risk, and that I will forever be grateful to that chaplain, that first sergeant for doing that because I literally was just like going into this inpatient process thinking that my life's over, my career's over, and that just made me spiral worse and not actually get the help I needed until they said, "We got you, you're good, everything's gonna be confidential." Like, and that was unheard of back then in the military. So, yeah, it cannot be overstated how huge that is when you are terrified
Mm-hmm.
about losing your whole livelihood because
Mm-hmm.
of just needing help.
Yep. Absolutely.
Help and nuggies, that's all we need.
It's just got to keep the nugget thought train going.
It seems like you spread yourself really thin, right? Like you're doing all these things, you've got a wife and three kids. What do you do to take care of yourself when you're taking care of everybody else?
I,
That's my therapist
I
question.
cry to Christina and ask when she's coming back.
I do that too. I do. We have that in
Yeah.
common.
So yeah, I work a lot of hours. Manpower is very thin in law enforcement, just like nursing, counseling, teaching. Not a lot of people are going into those career fields. Firefighters, the same thing. So we're already stretched thin and I wear a lot of hats. Past the peer support CSM chaplaincy, I'm on our drone team. I'm a millennial, so I know how technology works. So everyone comes to me with their IT issues, even though we have an IT division. But amongst all of that, yeah, it is very difficult having three young children. I usually say that the reason why I work so much is so I don't have to go home and do my real job and parent and raise those wonderful little angels up there that I hear stomping around even now. But it's really just for me. My wife is a huge support system for me. She's a nurse, so she has been in the thick of trauma and incidents herself. So it helps out with that. But even not really knowing about like, law enforcement and the things that I do, she's not from a military background, knowing that aspect of it. She knows when she's had enough. So she knows to check me to a point where I can share with her and talk about what's going on, but know when her cup's a little full and that, that's a little too much or the subject's a little too far for her. So it's really just having a really good support system. And when I overburden her with her cup, my best friend is also someone that I have unloaded on for many, many years now and vice versa. I have key people in my life. I have people in my career who are coworkers that I go to and I have a lot of trust in them. And I trust them enough to tell me when they either are not in a place that they can take on what I need to vent or talk about, and vice versa. It's just like a understanding, almost like a look that I can see or give them to know that, hey, like now's not really a good time for me personally. And there's no animosity about it. There's no like, I feel like I'm burdening them or I'm imposing on them, and then vice versa. But it's only probably like 5 or 6 people I can count in my life that I have that, but those are the ones that I don't take that for granted and I use it. Sometimes I do get the little creeping feeling like, oh, you're imposing on them. They don't need to hear this stuff right now. And then my best friend slaps me in the face when I mention that and goes, idiot, you are my best friend. Like, I will, like, just let me know what it is, because 2 days from now, I'm going to come to you at 2 in the morning. We're going to go to Waffle House because that's our therapy room in our office is Waffle House. The greasier and the more like run down in like a city or something, the better. That's where it, and it's always 2 in the morning, but that's where we go. So he literally will text me and say Waffle House and give me the street address. And that's like my way of knowing this isn't just like a phone call or text. Like I need to get in my car and go. But having that is a big part of just knowing I am safe and comfortable to talk to and reach out to and actually be vulnerable with. Because as much as I'm on the peer support team, as much as I'm on CISM chaplaincy, I'm a very guarded person. And even though I am literally an open book here because I said I would be, I'm a massive introvert. Even though I talk and ramble a lot, I am a huge introvert. My happy place is literally just reading a book in the quiet in the dark room and listening to like My Chemical Romance and emo music. That's where I'm at. Like
I can see that
death
about
metal
you.
at 2 in the morning while reading yeah. Like that's my
My
happy
Chemical
place,
Romance
not
is not
sharing
death
talking.
metal. Let's rewind that
That's
tape.
not death metal.
No, well, that's my thing is that's the two music I listen to when I read is either super emo music or Christian
Okay.
death metal.
So you have to clarify. You have to clarify that.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, they're right.
Okay. Okay.
I work out to Slipknot and Disturbed. I read to My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, and Wolves
Okay.
at the Gate, Mastodon.
We love that.
There we go.
Excellent.
We will allow that.
Yep.
But yeah, the
I too work
introvert
out to Slipknot and Disturbed.
being there we go. But being a massive introvert and being very closed off in that regard, like it's very hard for me to open up and be vulnerable. So knowing people I can feel safe to do that with, and I had to say it, or I love to say it, Christina, you're actually one of those people.
Thanks.
But yeah,
She doesn't really give you a choice though.
it is
I
true.
don't.
She does. She like, oh man, that week down to CISM when you were calling me out on things I didn't want to be called out on. Not in front of like everybody. She would just lean over and just be like, hey, you know how you fold your candy wrappers in a certain way? And she's like, that's this, and this, and this, and this. And I was like, I know, what? Stop unveiling the reasons behind the things the way I do things.
She does that to everybody. She
I
makes
do.
people so uncomfortable, and I feel
I
like it
do.
just gives her like this inner joy.
I know, but
It
that
does.
She does that to us.
discomfort,
It
that
does.
discomfort then turned into like, I adore you. I was like, just call me out on everything because you just like a Viking longboat crashed into a shore. You just came up and just tore down all the walls and barriers and just started ransacking
Well, there's
all
no
my
judgment.
emotions and personal thoughts and opinions. Yeah, and that's the thing is, it was like, and you did it in a way that was literally zero judgment. If anything, I was like, maybe she's gonna write a doctorate on me. Maybe she's gonna use me as a thesis paper for something. Like I was actually excited.
No. No, sorry. Didn't do that.
I did enjoy making the law enforcement officers next to me in my CISM class very uncomfortable too. We would go out on our breaks and then I would make comments to them and they're like, get away from me. I was like, bye.
Yep.
We are
Yep.
I'm going to make a side now.
we are a very closed off kind of people, so sometimes that's
Yes.
really what it takes is just being like, I'm not gonna let you run away to your hidey hole. I'm gonna tear you out of it and come at you at a place of judgment-free love because I care about
It's
you.
like we pop out of a little hole. We're like, surprise, bitch, we see you.
Ambush psychology tactics is just like the go-to for law enforcement and first responders.
I think so too. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. My favorite is when I'm sitting with a veteran or a law enforcement individual and they're like, yeah, so I saw this meme the other day and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you motherfucker, I have been trying to get you to understand that for months. And they are like, this meme changed my life. And I'm like, what? Yeah.
Okay, listen, I am
Or
a
I
lord,
Googled
so
this
yeah.
and I read this and now I understand it. And I'm like,
Yes. Or I was
Yeah.
talking to, so and so, and they said their therapist said this about them, and I feel like that applies to me. And I'm like, yes, Yes.
I hate to say this, but I literally have folders of just therapy memes. I
How come
call
I'm not getting any of them?
there's only so many Chick-fil-A gifts I can find. So, but no, literally, that's me and my best friend. Again, when I'm having a bad time, that's how we communicate without saying it. We'll just send a meme, and I guess it's because we're millennials. I guess I don't know. It just resonates, and so yeah, I could literally do a whole therapy session with someone just by memes. So if you want to do that, just let me know.
I
Just
will.
yeah, back and
I'll
forth.
let you. I'll keep you
Like
posted.
0 words or descriptors, just nothing but memes. And I'm pretty sure you would accurately express to me everything I need to know, and then I would laugh as well.
See, yeah, yep. It's like a
Meme battle.
meme battle. Yep, yep. Subterfuge in therapy. What is what is something that you would love the public to know about working in law enforcement that maybe they don't know already?
I buy my groceries at Walmart. I play Call of Duty. I go to 7-Eleven to get Slurpees late at night when I'm just craving a Slurpee. I do things that people do. I complain about inflation. I complain that my daughter's back to school supplies cost $100 for a first grader. Just the fact that, like, I wore this today because literally I actually got off work, rushed here, hoping to get on here in time. So I was like, I got no time to change.
We would have given you a few minutes, but we appreciate it nonetheless.
Um,
Unflattering to your eyes though it may be.
it is. We're working on that. But no, this comes off. This is not glued to me. When I was a school resource officer, I would literally be at Walmart in a hoodie and sweatpants because I'm a bum like that, wearing slippers. And I'd have like, literally, students would be like, "You look so familiar." And I'm like, tan vest, gun belt, badge. And they're like, "Oh yeah, Deputy Curtis. Oh my gosh, I don't recognize you." And I was like, "I know, because I'm looking like a person." It's so funny because in the news and everything, people assume that law enforcement is just, profiling people and just, left and right saying, "Oh, based on how you look." But the coincidence is that it's the same thing to us too. People will say, people will come after me on, like, Facebook messages like that, my wife, with things just because I'm in law enforcement and have never met me, don't know me, have never said a word to me, but just because I'm in law enforcement, I am this oppositional person. I am this threat to your freedom, your ability to drive. I'm this thing. I'm like, that's not. I hate arresting people. And thing is, most of my deputies mimic that. If you don't believe that, know that every time we arrest someone, it's like 5 pages of paperwork. And most of us are half illiterate to be able to even like type. So for us, it's like we don't want to do the paperwork, but it's more than that. It's the fact that that's not why almost every deputy and every law enforcement I talked to, when they joined, it was to help people. Yes, does cynicism and jadedness get down the road a lot of times and they start to lose sight of that I want to help people bigger picture that made them start off when they were like a recruit or a rookie? Yeah, that does happen. But the one thing I just love is that no, we are people. We have to be unbiased when we do our job. We have to, give our matter of fact, here are the facts as we see them. We can't give you our emotional opinion. But if you don't think we don't get emotional, then you haven't listened to this whole podcast, because literally peer support in CISM is to give deputies and law enforcement officers and dispatchers a place to unburden that, because we have to go to CPR with 3-year-olds. We have to go to, death and dismemberment, and we have to see all this stuff, and we cannot show emotion. If you have a law enforcement officer during an active shooter crying instead of going in and doing what they need to do, or a firefighter who's pulling a child out of a car that's crashed and they can't get the jaws of life open because their hands are shaking because they're so distraught, you just can't do that. You can't do that. But it does not mean that we are robots. It does not mean that we are these unfeeling automatons out to get your driver's license and try to revoke your license. That's not the case. Like, we are people. I have a family. I have thoughts and opinions. I do all these things, but it just seems to shock people when I talk about my personal life. Like the fact that I like anime, the fact that I play video games. When I was an SRO talking to kids, that was how I got over that hurdle. Was when I mentioned Fortnite or Call of Duty, or that I built my own gaming PC, or that, I know the names of every Naruto character because I've watched all 38 seasons of it. like when I got real and human with them, the kids that you'd be surprised about would open up and start to see me as more than just, oh, is the school resource officer here to catch us vaping and get us in trouble with our parents in the school? So yeah, there's one thing I think I would love just people to know about law enforcement is that it's not a you versus us. We are a part of our community. The people that I go out here and serve and protect and try to do my best to help, I am also one of those people in the community. I live in Stafford. My kids go to school in Stafford. I go shopping in Stafford. This is my community and I'm a part of it, but it doesn't mean that just because I'm a cop that I'm removed from it. And I think that if you're in an area where you're a law enforcement agency, you see a you versus them, that is an issue either with that agency or on a social level, because law enforcement and first responders need to be a part of the community. That's otherwise the whole thing just unravels. So yeah, I'm a people, and I like memes, and my daughter painted her first Hello Kitty doll the other day, and I was almost brought to tears about that. And
That's
then I
awesome.
showed her baby metal and Japanese kawaii metal, and she loved it because it was a mix of Hello Kitty
Love that.
and screen metal.
It sure is.
Yeah, so yeah, there's more to me than just this.
We love that.
I love that.
Yep.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, and it's, it's funny, every time I go on a ride along, of course they're all weirded out when they find out that I'm a therapist. And I'm like, I'm not here for you. Like, I'm here to ride along.
You're here for my
I am the harbinger of the most boring shift ever. And so I think that like eases them a little bit because I'm like, don't worry. As long as I'm in your vehicle, you're not arresting anybody tonight. You will probably not even go on. You'll probably not even have to run code. Like, we're just
Yeah.
going to sit in a fucking parking lot and eat Chick-fil-A nuggies and shoot the shit. So
So good. Are we at the end? Do we get to hear the Chick-fil-A nuggies story now?
I think so. What do you think?
Okay, let's hear it. I'm ready to hear it.
Well, you have to close us out of the episode first.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. I know, did you work I guess you worked today because you're in your uniform.
Yep,
So
I did.
thank you for joining us
Yeah.
after your long day of work. Christina and I both work today as well, but it's okay.
I
We're
put
not
in a
out
fucking
running the
day
road.
too.
I did too. I had school orientation for my kids this morning, and that was enough.
Yeah.
And then I
Yep,
went to
I
work
bet.
and saw patients. So that was
Yep.
But thank you for joining us and taking the
Yes.
time away from your family.
No, thank you for
My kids are also running around upstairs, so I don't know if you could hear them too. We love your insight and talking about CISM, and hopefully other law enforcement and first responders will be listening to this and know that like it's okay to talk to your peers and engage with your peer support team, and that they're going to be protected in that way and not lose their jobs.
Okay.
We're going
Please
to put
like, follow,
resources
and
up
share.
too. Yeah, so at the end of this, I'll make sure to put resources up. So if other law
Yes.
enforcement agencies are interested to
Yes,
know
yes,
like how to
yes,
get
yes.
started, where they can go for resources and like that kind of stuff. So
Where they can go for CISM trainings and all the things.
yes.
They would like
Yeah.
to be on their peer support
First
team.
Sergeant Blank, by the way, is a treasure.
He's retiring this year.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, no,
I mean, well deserved. Well deserved.
shameless plug, but Copline. If anyone's listening and
Yes.
there's a lot of different things and programs out there, but Copline is a really, really good one. That's a way to talk to other law enforcement. It's just an anonymous person who is law enforcement, who knows what you've gone through and going through. And they don't ask any personal questions other than an area code and your name. And that's it. They don't ask you what department you're with. But yeah, if you're having struggles and issues, obviously I love having good peer support teams. It's Winky. But
It's Winky.
but if you don't have a good system
What's up?
or good thing going on, I can't speak strongly enough about Copline. I've used Copline. They're fantastic.
I think we included Copline in the resources in the podcast with my sister, who
Yeah, I
was
think
the
so, too.
dispatcher.
I'll make
Yeah,
sure
so
to
definitely
add that
include on
again.
this one too.
Yep. for
Yeah.
sure. Hi, bud.
So
He's
like,
after
follow,
the
and
nuggies.
share. I threatened everyone in the last one. I was like, if
You
don't
sure
come to
did.
the screen. I don't know that it made a difference, but
I think so.
like, follow and share it. All right, now let's hear the nuggie story. That's all we have time for today, everyone. We want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Holding the Line with Got Your Six. We are just a bunch of therapists who talk about the shit nobody else wants to talk about. We hope you got something useful out of it, or at least made you feel seen. A special thanks to our guests for taking the time to join us and share their unique perspectives and life experiences. New episodes drop every other week on our YouTube channel, Holding the Line GY6.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram where we post more helpful info, dark humor, and more of the shit nobody else wants to talk about. In the words of someone wiser than us, go forth and do magical shit, everyone.
All right. Curtis, you want to tell the nuggie story?
Okay, you want to? All right. So, a long time ago in a sheriff's office far, far away, I have been slowly moving into taking more of a leader role with our peer support. I'm actually, I don't know if you know this, but I am the co-coordinator of it now. Yeah, I know, right? I get no more pay or anything. It's still just voluntary. This means nothing. It just means
Volunteer.
more work, yeah. But one of that precursors to that was we kind of, when we do a CISM, we say, all right, who's going to do what? Who's going to go get all the resources ready? Who's going to go set up? Who's going to find the building? And who's going to do snacks? Because you can't have proper therapy without snacks.
Nope.
You can't do
Facts.
it. You have to eat
Facts.
to process issues.
And I also feel like it entices more deputies and staff to show up if they know that there's... It's like that scene from the South Park movie where where Cartman's like, we should have punch and pie. More people will come if you provide punch and pie. And I feel like that is... You have to provide snacks to make people come.
It's true.
Well,
Punch and
terrible
pie
Cartman
is the
impression.
best way. By the way, I want everyone watching who can see this to note that even though we've been talking for a long time now, and I would have crushed the Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets in 30 seconds, they apparently reserved some on the side just to start eating when I started telling this story. And I clocked that, and
I didn't buy nuggies. I did eat. I just bought fries though.
it doesn't matter. Is it Chick-fil-A? Is it a
Doesn't
waffle
matter.
fry? If it is Chick-fil-A
It's
or Chick-fil-A
Chick-fil-A.
adjacent, it is a targeted attack on me. All right, so back to the story.
Well, I'm only eating now because nobody's going to physically see this. So this is at the end of the If you watched the podcast, you just outed yourself, ma'am.
You would know.
You would know that there's a black screen that comes up where we roll the credits while we talk shit at the end.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, she's currently taking it with her left hand, bringing it to
Left
her
hand.
mouth, and has now taken one bite of the delicious, crispy, just grilled waffle
And salty.
fry. Salty, yep. Just deep fried goodness. All right. So the Nuggies conclusion of that is, yes, I was in charge of getting the snacks, multiple CISMs. And usually they got just regular, chips, just generic kind of snacks, something really good. And one complaint we got at CSM was, oh, this is great, but why not something delicious like actual chicken nuggets and not just these Lay's chips and Doritos, something really good like Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets? Because if you didn't know, law enforcement loves Chick-fil-A. They do have a discount for us, and then I literally have survived off Chick-fil-A for 8 years in Stafford. And I said, wow, that's a really great idea. And Christina was like, yeah, that's a great idea. You should do that. So
You should do that.
fast forward to the next two CISMs, and I said, yes, I'm going to get Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. And I did not do it.
Nope.
I could give a million different reasons, but I didn't do it. I did not bring chicken nuggets. I kept with our generic chip assortment of snacks. And she had grilled me multiple times about getting the Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. And you think, okay, he would learn his lesson. This is clearly to
But he
just...
didn't.
He didn't do
Did
it.
not.
He's just a silly, silly dum-dum. He didn't do it. So... Fast forward to Christina is doing a next part of her wonderful story in her career and is tragically departing from the Virginia area. And we were just inconsolable in our grief. And we said, you know what? We
You
need to
made a
do
PowerPoint
something
slideshow
to send
that
her
you still
off.
haven't sent me.
Do I still have it is the question.
How would you delete it? That is so disrespectful. They made
I'd
some
say
side
I
story.
did it. All right. Yep. Go.
They made a so there was a whole send off thing for me with the PST system team where we had lunch. And it ended up being Chipotle because sorry if I'm spoiling the second part of the story, because at the time I was gluten free and dairy free, which is very sad for me. And so I was like, well fuck, that takes chicken nuggets out of the mix. So we went with Chipotle. But
Matter because I didn't know that information and I still didn't get the Chick-fil-A
I know.
chicken nuggets even though I said I would.
and you still didn't get it. I know, and you still didn't. Yep. So, right. So it's going to continue to follow our friendship forever and ever. And so Curtis created a PowerPoint slideshow of all of the reasons why Minnesota sucks and why I should not come out here.
By the way, knew nothing about Minnesota before research and literally did dedicated hours of researching of what Minnesota's known for.
It was a solid slideshow.
Pretty proud of it. I
Mosquitoes and
appreciate it.
ice fishing and
Ice
the
fishing,
Vikings.
yep. So
and choking in the playoffs.
all of it.
I'll tell Tim not to watch this podcast for the end part because he's not going to be happy about that.
Hey, listen,
Yeah,
I know
it's true.
I don't listen to sports at all, but go Vikings? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, my husband
Yeah,
is a
that's
huge Minnesota Vikings fan.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, the real thing is that even though I spent hours on that presentation, basically just doing a giant meme because I'm a meme lord, I spent hours doing that. And because of the presentation, it was cutting down to like the last 20 minutes before she was supposed to get there for our send off. That's why I didn't go to Chick-fil-A and get the chicken nuggets because I had to get a couple more memes and pictures for the PowerPoint presentation. And then I completely forgot about the Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets and I didn't go and get them. And to this day, I have still yet to present you any Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. All. And I have 2 CISMs coming up, one this week, one tomorrow, and one the following week. And I have not made any arrangements to get Chick-fil-A, but I am going to go get it tomorrow. I'm going to do it. Watch. And I'll send you a picture.
I'm not going to be there for him though.
I know, but I'm still going to send you a picture of it.
What? Did you guys like stop calling me? You don't want me to show up to your SISMs anymore?
No, it was a this is a schism that has been pushed back like 2 different times. Oh, I guess I should have told you. The chaplains got a licensed counselor on their peer support team for the fire department, and when you were gone, we talked to
You
her
cheated on
about
me?
possibly coming to see. Didn't. I'm just saying that there was another licensed clinical counselor that was available because you were gone, and our agency had needs, and yeah, we haven't done it. This is the first CISM we're going to do that, and it didn't work out. So see you next week, maybe, if you're available. That is the angriest straw jostle into a Chick-fil-A cup. Chick-fil-A is joy and happiness, and you are tainting that with that smoldering glare you're giving me.
I know, and nobody's even going to see it because
By the way, her name is Barbara. She's lovely. She's a Marine, and you two are going to be the best of friends.
We're not. I don't get along with Marines. But
Oh, never mind. You'll be mortal enemies, and we'll have a fight to the death for who gets to be our CISM.
or who gets to be the
Just
SISM.
Jim Bowie in the middle, just throw a knife down and just be like, two therapists enter, one leaves. We're just going to Thunderdome it.
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games, there we
Yep.
go.
Yep. No, I look forward to meeting her. Marines are all right. I'll throw some crayons at her and distract her.
Nope, but yeah, I will be getting Chick-fil-A chicken nuggies, and I'm literally just going to start just every time, I'm just going to keep some, and they might get moldy and disgusting, but I will keep some in the glove box of my cruiser, just so if I see you, I can just toss them at you, just to retaliate for all the never-ending crap you give me about it. Yeah.